Hi everyone, welcome to Secrets. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe if you like my vibe, because on this channel we have thoughtful commentary, real conversations, and a little truth delivered with compassion. Before I get into what happened, I want to add some context because I'll be honest, up until a few weeks ago, I really didn't know who this man was. I didn't. I must be honest. I knew the name in passing, but he wasn't someone I had followed closely or paid much attention to. And I think that's important to say because it speaks to just how suddenly and dramatically the spotlight has shifted where his career is concerned. Anthony Joshua is a British heavyweight boxer, a former two-time world champion, and one of the biggest names in boxing globally. He's known for his discipline, his physical presence, and his professionalism in the sport. He also is very open about his Nigerian heritage, deeply connected to his roots, and highly respected both in the UK and internationally. But for many people, especially outside of hardcore boxing circles, he wasn't necessarily a household name until very recently. That changed with the recent fight against Jake Paul. Jake Paul, the YouTuber and public nuisance. That fight pulled in massive attention, particularly from American audiences who may not have been familiar with him before. A lot of people were cheering for Anthony Joshua, not only because he's handsome when they realized who he was, but because a lot of people don't like Jake Paul. They don't like the Paul brothers, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and their ego and just how crazy and chaotic they've been. And also lately, how much they've disregarded the sport of boxing. So naturally, a lot of people, especially um, boxing purists, they had an issue with him taking up space in the community. Because of this fight, suddenly there were a lot of eyes on Anthony Joshua, and that hadn't been there before. There was a lot of new conversations about him, there was a lot of new interest in him. A lot of people, myself included, were introduced to him almost overnight, and many came away impressed, intrigued, and honestly a little smitten. So when the internet woke up to the headline this morning that he had been involved in a serious car crash in Nigeria, it didn't just feel shocking, it felt surreal. Two people lost their lives and he narrowly escaped with his. And when someone that visible, that admired, almost dies, it forces a pause, not just for fans, but for anyone paying attention. This isn't gossip. This isn't tea. This is one of those wake up moments. According to reports, the accident happened on the Lagos Ibadan expressway, one of the busiest and most dangerous roads in the country. Five people were in the vehicle and it reportedly hit a stationary truck while overtaking at speed. Two people didn't make it, and that part matters. While headlines focus on the celebrity, real lives were lost. He survived with what they're calling minor injuries and was taken to a hospital. And physically, yes, he'll recover. But moments like this don't just bruise the body, they shake the spirit. Especially when this happened while he was returning to his family home, reconnecting with his roots at a time when life, by all appearances, was good. And I think it's just so important to pinpoint like the contrast and how words matter. In the fight that he had against Jake Paul, he kept on referring to breaking his spirit and wanted to take his soul. And I know that these words are words, and you might say, okay, then yes, it's just good for the sport and it's good to build this suspense and momentum and like your energy. And like as a boxer, you have to talk shit, but words do have power because this incident might leave him broken. And it's not something I'm even wishing on him, but it would just be ironic, how these things, the energy that you send out into the world could come back and bite you in the end. And I just hope that he'll be able to recover from this disaster, this travesty, because honestly, it's not something to be taken lightly. I also want to address something that I've been seeing in comments and online chatter. Some people are speculating that this incident is connected to the recent fight, and they're claiming that he was supposed to throw the match with Jake Paul, and because he didn't cooperate, that this was some kind of payback. I'm not going there, to be honest. I'm not entertaining conspiracies. I'm not delving into anything I don't have proof of. That kind of speculation is reckless, especially when people have died. You know, some things can be true. I do believe that there are a lot of like dark energies in the world, but I also believe that some things can just be what they are. You know, recklessness. It's the holiday season. A lot of people are drinking. A lot of people are impatient. A lot of people are not uh exercising discretion, and just being mindful as they approach. A lot of common sense goes out the window. Growing up in Jamaica, it was quite common for a lot of fatalities to happen during the holiday season. you know a lot of people make poor choices, and so this could just very well be one of them. Not everything has to be some kind of weird conspiracy. That's just my take on that matter. I think what is a lesson that we could all learn from this, though, is how humbling life can be. Because what actually humbled me was seeing this big, strong, masculine, sexy ass man, someone people see as powerful and untouchable, be reminded in the most sobering way that we are all vulnerable at some point in our lives. No matter how strong you are, no matter how much money or fame you have, he is like a millionaire times over. He recently, the money that he got, that he won from the fight was like over 50 million after taxes, right? That's a lot of money. But no matter how much wealth you have, it can all go in seconds. And that's the uncomfortable truth we don't talk about enough. Money doesn't make you invincible, and fame doesn't protect you from chaos. And it's so important for us to guard our spirit, Auntie and I, to just ensure that our path, is always covered. And that we have only attract the most positive energies around us and like speak power. you know Anthony Joshua seems to be a very positive person. He's very intellectual, very charismatic. But when I remember when he kept on talking about the spirit and breaking spirit, that part of it, just I didn't like that energy. It was just very sinister. I didn't like it. Felt like he was evoking some kind of weird, and I don't think it was intentional, but I do feel as if it wasn't the kind of energy that he should have focused on. He could have remained professional, and of course, talk is talk, but like that part of it just sounded really diabolical and a little bit too over the edge for me. And who knows what his words evoked. This could be as a result of what he said. you know and so my point is that words have power, and money doesn't make you invincible, and fame doesn't protect you from chaos, and strength doesn't cancel randomness. And this wasn't a fight. This wasn't a controlled environment. This wasn't something you train for. This was life, and life doesn't care how famous you are. That's my point. And for people who don't know, that road is notorious, especially during the holiday season when people from the diaspora flood back home. Traffic increases, fatigue increases, and risk increases. Many people romanticize going home, but the truth is, the infrastructure realities are often ignored until something like this happens. It is not about blaming anyone, so don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to blame anyone, but it's about acknowledging how fragile safety really is, even during moments meant for joy, for family, and celebration. And these are things that we need to factor in, when we go about our ways. We are never in control. You can only control your own reality, but you cannot control others, and you cannot control other vehicles that are on the road, and like, so much. If we were to really, I guess you kind of have to go out into the world and try to be optimistic, because if you really were to like introspect and like to think too keenly, or to focus too much on all the things that we don't have power over, you'd probably stay indoors for the rest of your life, really. But what really stays with me in this situation is that he was just sitting in the back seat, not driving, not in control, just present. And 1 second you're a global sports icon, fresh off a major win, back home in your homeland, wanting to celebrate, wanting to enjoy Dirty December. And the next second, you're surviving something that could have erased your entire future, your legacy, your plans, your family, all of it gone in a blink. And two families didn't get the miracle ending. Two people died. And this is what is most devastating about it. Two people died. I'm grateful he survived, truly. But at the same time, I'm not going to trivialize the fact that two people lost their lives. No life is more important than another, and those families are grieving in a way that deserves respect. And I hope that, as we cover, as a news, the media, as they cover this incident, they're not only focusing on his recovery and if he's going to be able to fight, and if he's going to be able to fight Fury and other stuff. I hope that they take, in every interview and in every coverage, a moment of silence or a moment is taken to pay respect to those two people who have lost their lives as well. You know, it also would have been devastating for him to pass at this particular moment in his life too, so I understand why it's just such a victory that he survived, especially when his career seemed to be reemerging. And so I'm not going to even trivialize why people are excited that he, or not excited, that's the wrong word, why people are relieved that he has survived, because it's very important. For so long, people said he was at the tail end of his career, and then suddenly there was a renewed momentum, renewed attention, and new possibilities opening up beyond boxing, beyond the ring, into global visibility and opportunity. So I'm never going to trivialize these things. I am also excited to see where his career could go, but I'm just also genuinely concerned about his mental and emotional well-being. Physically, they say his injuries are minor, but emotionally, this is not something you just moved past. He is known to be very close to the people around him, and his team isn't just his staff, their family and long-term connections. He is a very intentional person, and he's very close knitted. He moves like that. He doesn't have random people around him. And so I know the two people's lives who were lost are people who are dear to him. And I doubt the people who died are not going to be missed. I doubt he's not going to internalize these lives that were lost. That kind of loss leaves a mark. Even as a passenger, there's going to be guilt and a sense of responsibility. When someone of this stature goes home, people often rush, they cater, and they try to get him from place to place quickly. He's like a king back home. And so if speeding was involved, even indirectly, that's a heavy thing to live with, because I'm sure he kind of feels some responsibility knowing that they were catering to him, providing for him, taking care of him, and trying to make the most, and to ensure that he has the best trip back home. I'm really just saddened by all of this. I really hope he's able to heal, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I hope he does right by the families who lost loved ones. And I hope he doesn't internalize this in a way that derails him or robs him of focus and motivation. He needs to keep working. He is at a really good place in his career now where he could go mainstream, even further mainstream, because I'm not going to act like this man was never successful. He's always been successful, but we have to admit that he has the attention of not just the UK now or a sector of people. He has the attention of the world, particularly America. And this moment coming after such a pivotal fight and such sudden visibility was a powerful opportunity, is a powerful opportunity, because I don't want to speak in the past. And it would be such a shame if trauma and grief cause him to lose sight of what possibly is next. If anything, I hope this becomes a moment of reflection rather than collapse, a reminder that not just for him, but for all of us, that no one is invincible and life can change in an instant. So we ought not to take it for granted. If you're watching this, let this be your reminder. Your life doesn't need to fall apart for you to start valuing it properly. Call people back. Rest when you're tired. Stop rushing everywhere like nothing can happen to you, because it obviously can. Prayers to Anthony Joshua's family, the members of the passengers who were the casualties in that accident, and their family. I hope that everybody will find peace in this moment of difficulty. Thanks all for today. Thanks for watching this video. And if you like this kind of grounded, reflective commentary, make sure you subscribe if you like my vibe. Until the next video, guys, take care of yourselves and one another. Move with intention, and please take tomorrow and value it, treasure it. Don't take it for granted. All right, until the next video, guys. Bye, bye, bye.